Very warm welcome to Park you in for the Rebel Oak Premier 1 Minor Hurling Championship final between Glen Rovers and Bride Rovers. A throw in here at 8 o'clock is going to be utilising very shortly indeed. We're off after having an unbelievable evening here so far in the Premier 2 Minor Hurling Championship final. As it finished in a draw, Kilta Og 123 I should say, to Shandrum's 5-11. And that game is going to a replay. Hopefully we can get some more of that, please, here in this feature Blue Ribbon event under the Rebel Oak banner. We will be hearing from our analysts, Deputy Sports Editor Eamon Murphy, and our Irish Examiner analyst Mark Landers shortly indeed. But firstly, let's go to both camps. A little bit earlier on today, I caught up with Glen Rovers coach Barry Hackett. But firstly, let's up to the Bride Rovers manager, Mark O'Connell. So firstly, we head out to Cork. Mark O'Connell is the Bride Rovers manager. And Mark, thanks for joining us. A really successful year from a Bride Rovers point of view into a Premier 1 hurling final in the minor grade.
Delighted, yes, Pat. Successful year. Delighted to be where we are on such a fine day. We are where we want to be. We are where we've been planning to be. I suppose, and looking forward now to getting the evening off to get it started and getting it completed.
Just going through your results over the weekend, you had a good win against Blackrock in the opening round, 225 to 2-4. And then you were defeated by the Bars by 6 points, 119 to 16, before a great comeback win against the Piercy, 217 to 215, which got you to a semi-final win after extra time over Ballincollig.
Yeah, I mean, look, I suppose the way we finished out the Ballincollig game was very satisfactory in that sense. I suppose like any team and like any group of players, there are purple patches for every team. But I suppose it's how we reacted, and I suppose it's how we resolved as the pressure was piling on us. Specifically in the last game against Ballincollig, they brought tremendous physicality to it against us, and we just, I suppose, stayed honest to ourselves, and we stuck to our I suppose, our pre-planned guidance through training and through matches, and that's what carried us through. As I said, delighted with the reaction and delighted to get a result over a fantastic Ballincollig side.
By all no means, no disrespect to Bride Rovers, but it's not often you will see Bride Rovers in a Premier 1 hurling final. What has been the difference this year compared to other years?
Well, I suppose, look, we've been building to this, I suppose, for a number of years. We very narrowly lost out with the under-16s last year on the Premier 1 side of it to a very good Middleton team on the day. So look, we've been knocking on the door. We've been in the quarter-final, semi-final stages there for a number of years at the Premier 1 level. Look, we're a small parish, in the countryside. We're a developing club. We're growing ourselves and building ourselves up. We're building our standards. I suppose, look, our opponents tonight, Glen Rovers, are steeped in history, and they always have that to fall back on. Look, Bride Rovers are in a great position. We're growing our juvenile club every year. It's in a very positive environment, right through the adult club, right through the ladies club. So, look, we're delighted to be in a Premier 1 final. We are where we want to be, and look, as I say, we're looking forward to the lads being able to express themselves and play to their level through tonight now. So.
You mentioned about development, Mark. You're the juvenile chairman of the club as well. I suppose how key is development, for underage kids living in a country club from, say, under 12 all the way up to under 17 stroke under 18?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's crucial. I suppose traditionally we would have been tight on numbers through all the different ages. This year, for the first year ever, we have 13 teams playing under the juvenile ranks, playing both codes. So that's a huge amount of hurling and football to be administrated. But it's not just administrated, it's the coaching and the coaching development behind that. And it's the structure that the executive provides to the adult and the juvenile club. And we expand on that in with our own in-house coaching. And we are constantly training our coaches and upgrading our coaches. And it is that foundation that we are bringing to the juvenile club to actually develop these guys coming through 12, 13, 15, 16, minor, whichever, all the ways into adulthood. Ideally, bringing our standards up from maybe where they were in recent years.
Bring back to tonight, Mark. Big final ahead for you, and undoubtedly is one of the bigger occasions from a Glen Rovers juvenile point of view. You'll be looking for a really good performance to testify for the night.
It's what we want for the boys is for them to deliver their own performance for themselves first and foremost, and obviously for their families and the club as well. Look, they're young lads, they're 17, huge pressure, but we don't apply that on them. We just encourage them to actually, continuously develop and improve their skills and continuously show themselves for what they are, which are great club members. They've given us great games over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years at Premier level. So we're in a great position. We're on a Premier 1 minor final. We are where we want to be, and we're looking forward to this evening.
So now we head to the city, and we say good evening to Barry Hackett, team coach of Glen Rovers. And Barry, thanks for joining us. You're after having a really successful year so far, but I suppose it's one more step now before the big game tonight. I suppose, look, no mistake about it, you're really looking forward to this final.
Yeah, we are definitely, Patrick. Like it's as I suppose the most pleasing thing for us is the improvement that the lads have made all year. I think we met up first in the middle of December, obviously not being able to do a whole lot, and we spent a few months on Zoom and Teams calls, and the lads were doing their own bits. We kind of got to go ahead to go back, and I suppose nobody kind of knew where they were at that stage. But as soon as the group stage got going, we grinded it out against Carricktool in a tough game down there. Always tough below in Carricktool, and we had a game called off the week before that against Middleton. So the build up to that wasn't ideal. But look, we've improved every game, and the lads have been unbelievable, to be fair to them. Like they really got stuck in, put their heads down, and as I said, they keep improving, and that's all we can ask of them,
And I suppose you did mention about that Carricktool game, 120-119 was a very tight game on the night. You then defeated Middleton 5-14-112 before defeating Ballincollig 214-113, I should say. So there was a good score racked up, 8-48 in those 3 round robin games. So that was a high scoring from your side.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I suppose put it down to the forwards if you like, but at the same time, like, putting up high scores is no good if they're going in as hard in the other end. Do you know what I mean? So you have to give credit to the backs as well, and everyone plays their part. All the lads have a job to do. I suppose there's no egos there or anything like that. They all know they have a job to do, and they all go out and do their best, and that's all we can ask of them. Do you know? But yeah, the scoring is pleasing. I suppose the Carricktool were probably the team that everyone beat, and it was our toughest game so far based on the scoreline. Do you know what I mean? So that'll just tell you, I suppose, how far we've come from that first game as well. Do you know?
Talking about the semi-final against the Bears, you had a good 6-point win on the day. And what were tough conditions?
Yeah, they were. No, to be fair, I suppose we were lucky in the sense that I think the home advantage definitely helped us a small bit. Obviously, the lads are well used to playing below in the club, and home advantage was a big thing, I think, for the semi-final. You could probably see that in the other semi-final as well with Bright and Ballincollig. The 2 home teams won. So that was a big thing. The game itself was tough, as it always is with the Bears. The Bears had it over us, I suppose, on the way up. They beat that particular team in a 15 final, handy enough, and they beat us in the semi-final out in the Bears again last year. So we kind of had our gander up, I suppose, for it, to be fair. And we played well, which is the most important thing. The lads played well on the day. We threw everything at them, but I suppose typical Bears, they stayed in it, and right till the end, the game wasn't over. They got goals when they had to keep them in it. But overall, yeah, it was very pleasing. Yeah, very pleasing. Again, they all done their job and all done what was asked of them.
It's always great to have Cork players on representation tonight, and you're no different either. Owen O'Leary, who was part of that Cork squad, managed by Noel Furlong, who won the All-Ireland earlier this year, is part of your side as well, and he's very much an influential part for the Glen side.
Yeah, Owen's great. Yeah, and look, he's a great lad, and more importantly, he had a great year with Cork. But what was very impressive for us is that when he came back to us from Cork, he just kept going, kept the head down, kept training as hard as ever, and that pushes the rest of the lads on. Do you know what I mean? They all kind of, I suppose, look up to him. He's the marquee player, if you like, as every minor team has it at this grade. Like when you're playing Premier 1, the majority of teams have their 1 or 2 Cork players that kind of are the marquee players. But we've had plenty of other fellas to step up to the mark as well. It wasn't just Owen. You know, he's the one I suppose that everyone will look out for being a Cork player, but without naming other lads, we've had plenty of other fellas that we're thrilled with all year as well, that take the kind of burden off Owen as well. And if he has an off there, if he doesn't play well, we're more than confident in the rest of the lads to kind of step up as well, you know.
So Barry, really in a nutshell, it's another Premier 1 final for the Glen, but one no doubtedly that you're looking forward to. Yeah,
look, that's where we want to be. That's what I suppose playing with the Glen is all about, is being in county finals. That's what we strive for, and especially the minor one. You know, the minor one has great importance in our club, where, you know, you've 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 all the way up, but they're all in preparation for this minor, like, and this is the one we want to be in. This is the marquee, I suppose, Rebel Oak tournament. It's the big one. It's where all the big clubs want to be. We'll go up and we'll give it a lash. If we play the way we've been playing all year, we'll be thereabouts, but we'll definitely give it 100% anyway. There'll be no doubt about that.
Welcome back to Park Arena, and thanks very much to Barry Hackett and to Mark O'Connell, who we caught up with earlier on today, and my two analysts having a brief discussion here beside me, Mark Landers and Eamon Murphy. And we'll start with the Deputy Sports Editor of the Echo, Eamon, and thanks for joining us. So long I haven't seen you in a while.
Thanks very much.
We're after having an intriguing Premier 2 final, and more of the same here, please, in this Premier 1 final.
Yeah, an absolute cracker in the first game, so the standard has been set now for a thriller. I suppose, look, the two teams who were home in the semi-finals got through, the Glen and Bride, and they're here on merit. Bride Rovers had a very, very tough match with Ballincollig for 60-odd minutes, and in game went to extra time. They forced an equaliser at the end, and they were absolutely outstanding in the extra time. Superb altogether. Adam Walsh was excellent. He had a difficult first 60 minutes. He was well marked and he kicked into gear. He was a Cork Minor All-Ireland winner this year, and he made a big difference in the extra time for him. And the Glen have been just outstanding all through the competition, you'd have to say. I mean, you know, they didn't win 14 county, didn't win a 16 county, but here they are in the final, having won all their matches in the group and beating the Bars, who were the favourites in the semi.
So good background there to the sides tonight, and let's delve further into that as the two teams are out warming up in front of us. And we'll turn to the right hand side, to the green, white and gold of Bride Rovers. There's one late change, and it must be said quite a significant change it is, because Killian Tobin is out, the Cork Minor All-Ireland winner. Unfortunately rolled his ankle in a training session during the week, and unfortunately will miss this game. Conor Hazelwood, son of the great Barry Hazelwood, is in and will be starting in the centre of the field. Dennis Cashman and Adam Hines are definitely two players to watch in the backline, while Adam Walsh, who scored 1-2 in their win over Ballincollig in the semi-final, and Adam Hayes, who scored 6 points wearing number 15 tonight, are going to be two potent men in the forward line for Bride Rovers. As for Glen Rovers, well, they'll go unchanged from their victory over St Finbarrs in the last round. Donegal Wall and Fiachra O'Driscoll were very impressive on the day for the men from the Glen, while Owen O'Leary, another Cork star we're going to see here tonight, scoring 1-5 in that semi-final victory, while Stephen Lynham, wearing 15 tonight, scored 1-6 wearing the corner forward position. Let's welcome in Mark Landers. Mark, we're after having a super Sunday. It's great to have Monday night lights on minor hurling here in Park Arena.
Yeah, well, we didn't think that things could get any more exciting than they did yesterday, Patrick, with the Super Sunday across the Premier Senior and the Senior A, and it was fantastic now. And there was a good few matches went down to the wire. Our own club, Killa, we're in the quarter-final of a county on 67 minutes, and we're out of the championship in 68 minutes. So, and that was replicated in a couple of games yesterday. So this evening now is obviously turning to the young men of the county in Glen Rovers and Bride Rovers at under 17, which is the Premier 1 minor county final. And you mentioned the Premier 2 county final. Newtown Shandram and Kilto played this evening, and it was an absolute magnificent game. Fantastic advertisement for hurling. It finished a draw. We're going to get another night's entertainment out of that, and there were some fantastic displays on both sides in the Premier 2. So we're on to the Premier 1 this evening, and I suppose the big thing, Patrick, that we say from neutrals looking in will be the standard of the hurling, and to see, you know, the differences. I saw the Killa Miners winning the Eastern Division on Saturday, and they had a very good win against Aaron Zone, who are in the quarter finals of the Premier Senior at the moment. So it was two senior clubs playing in the third division of minor. So tonight, you know, Bride Rovers, it's their first time in a Premier 1 minor final. They won the Minor A versus Kilshannig in 2017, and they won the Premier 2 versus Newtown in 2018. And those teams are backbone with the two Roach brothers, Owen and Brian, Paddy Flynn, Conleth Ryan and Conor Barry. They're all now playing with the first team. Obviously, Conleth Ryan has moved to the north of Ireland, playing his hurling in Antrim. But the other lads are plying their trade in Senior A at the moment. So we're looking forward to a very, very good game. But I think the loss of Killian Tobin, who has had a fantastic minor championship for Bright Rovers this year, that's going to be a significant loss. You mentioned that before the game. And I suppose just when one player gets injured, Patrick, you're expecting that maybe the other 14 lads will step up to the plate and improve a slight bit to make up for his loss. But he is a significant loss for the team.
And it is Bright Rovers who have won the toss, and they're going to play into the Blackrock end in his opening half. Change in referee as well tonight, because Colm Lyons was due to be refereeing, but unfortunately picked up an injury over the weekend in the Senior Hurling Championship. So a man who's been drafted back in from Dubai, where he was refereeing for the last couple of days, is Mark Maher. He was out there with Kieran O'Regan and Brian Connery, a couple more of them, Thomas Welch, the Waterford referee, were all out there. So we're expecting Mark to be sharing a bit of a tan here tonight, and the shiny lights here on Park you're in, as we stand to attention for the playing of our national anthem, Aráin Bhíonn, momentarily. It's going to be an intriguing evening's hurling indeed, and an intriguing night, because for Bright Rovers, some history to be made for the night as well.
Yeah, look, I mean, we couldn't have better conditions for the match. You know, the weather is glorious. There's no puff of wind. It's very, very mild. It's fantastic for hurling in October, you know, for the lads to be on a stage like this. And hopefully both teams perform. I think Mark hit the nails ahead. It's going to be very, very difficult for Bright Rovers to win as underdogs with their best player missing. And he has been their best player all the way through, you know. I mean, he got a rake of fantastic points from playing the semi-final, and he was scoring prolifically all the way through. 5 from playing the semi-final and prolifically all the way through the championship. 2-4 from playing in their win over Piercy, which was a critical win to them getting through. So he's an absolutely classy player. He can play anywhere around the middle third, very dynamic. So look, it's up to the other lads to kick in. I would think to keep an eye out too for the Glen Rovers full forward line. Owen O'Leary is their star turn, obviously, just won an All-Ireland minor title, but Stephen Lynham, Ian's young fella, is going to be minor next year, and by all accounts will be a banker to be on the Cork minor team next year. He's not turning 16 till later in the year. And Cian Walsh is actually an under 15 who's playing at the edge of the square, the full forward, but he's a big, strong young fella, fantastic hand. All three of those players in the full forward line. Kieran Maguire as well. I've seen him play twice this year. Very, very dangerous, very aggressive. Everything you would expect out of Glen hurling. Play with a bit of swagger, a bit of directness. So watch out for those as well as Owen O'Leary.
I'm just wondering what the delay. I was looking over at the gates to see was there many actually hanging around, but in fact it was actually just the paperwork wasn't actually signed off by Mark Maher. And looking over towards that far side of the field, Colm Vaughan is going to be our fourth official for the evening. And as we stand for attention of Aráin Bhíonn. This is the blue ribbon event for Rebel Oak, the Premier 1 Minor Hurling Championship final, and things are about to get underway, but I think Mark Larner's overwhelmingly here. The Glen are going to be red hot favourites with the loss of Killian Tobin for Bright Rovers.
I think so, Patrick. And they obviously had a great win in the semi-final against St Finbarrs, who have probably one of the best players in the team in the country at the moment, in Ben O'Connor, and they're obviously reigning Premier 1 minor champions as well. So, you know, that all argues well. But then again, at the same time, Bright Rovers had a magnificent win over Ballincollig after extra time in the semi-final. So, Patrick, we'll have to wait and see how it develops.
Well, the opening exchanges of this Premier 1 minor hurling final is underway, and it's a first opportunity for Owen O'Leary. He's showing you a great burst of speed inside the 45. He's going inside the 20-metre line, scooping the ball over the top, but going right and wide for the opening wide of the game.
Yeah, and that was a great opportunity for the Glen there, no doubt. But again, it's the talisman from Glen Rovers, Owen O'Leary, had shown a clear plane of heels to the centre back, Faircrow Driscoll. So the Bright Rovers got off with a light one there.
So Glen Rovers now winning the first puck out of the game from Ronan O'Riordan. But that's a great challenge there by the Bright Rovers man. It's gone out for a line ball despite the efforts of the Glen man in front of us. The Mayor come on roaring for a sideline ball. He's going the way of Adam Walsh. Big stature of a man as well, playing his school hurling with St. Coleman's. Brilliant cut ball over towards that far side of the field. Still in possession now. It's worked outside. It's broken out to one of the Bright Rovers men. Have they got the opening score of the game? They have indeed, and it's going through.
Adam Hayes, top of the left, I think, but we're just trying to see if they all lined up as they should.
It is Adam Hayes indeed. So Adam Hayes getting the scoring up and away for the Rathcormac side in this final. Numbers quite difficult to see in the opening stages here. Lights shining brightly here on Páirc Uí Rinn. Half a hook on the Glen man here and gives an opportunity for the Bright Rovers centre back Dennis Cashman. Switches the play in towards the Glen Rovers forward line. Kieran Maguire in there getting the hurley in on the act, but here is Kieran Cotter under pressure. Clears the lines. Good touch on from Josh O'Hearn. Walking his way down the left half flank. Rovers looking to go into an electric step. But that's a great tackle there by the Glen Rovers centre back Faircrow Driscoll. But straight down to the centre of the field. Great touch. Just couldn't get a hand to it was Adam Walsh. And that gives an opportunity for the Glen to try and come on top. Ball being walked in towards the full forward line by Owen O'Leary over towards that far side of the field. Nervous start from both sides in the opening stages of this Premier 1 minor hurling final. Cormac O'Sullivan under pressure, just scoops the ball over the top. Great control from Owen O'Sullivan. Sees the man running free inside. It's a 2-on-2 situation, but the Bright Rovers defenders trying to keep it out. And chance that they will over on that far side of the field. Here's Owen Varian, Liam Collins, I should say, the Bright Rovers captain. And Bright Rovers have won a free over on that far side, inside the 45-metre line. There's a free one over there by David Barry.
Great aggression and tenacity out of Bright Rovers there, in all the exchanges. Even, their opening score came off winning a sideline, really, when, they hounded the man in possession to get the sideline, and Adam Walsh delivered it. Fantastic defending and really in-your-face stuff, which is what you want when you're the underdogs in a county final.
Free taken long towards the half-forward line for Bright Rovers. Here's the man wearing 24, Colin Hazelwood. Sends it long inside towards the full forward line. But it's a chance now for Bright Rovers to try and clear their lines. Sean Cronin playing a shot over the top. Here is Charlie Hurley. Scored 3 points in that semi-final win over the Bars. Ball over towards that far side of the field. Bright Rovers playing a sweeper in this opening half. And the Glen Rovers man looking to try and take him on. Here is Stephen Lynham. He's been dispossessed there. And ball's been cleared out by Bright Rovers. Over towards the far side of the field. Real tussle for possession. Both teams trying to find their feet. Good touch there from David Barry, captain of Bright Rovers, going long inside the square. But Bright Rovers are going to clean up this one through Ben Heffernan. And the Glen Rovers keeper making his way out towards the 20-metre line. And again, the tussle for possession, but that was dangerous there from the man wearing 13, Kieran Maguire. Playing deep as a sweeper. Clears it all over the shoulder, but it's a free shot here now for the Bright Rovers man, Charlie Hurley. This is turning. Is it turning inside that post? Yes, it is. It's gone in and over the bar. Level game here in Páirc Uí Rinn.
Yeah, fantastic score there by Charlie Hurley and a fantastic passage of play. I think the last 3 or 4 minutes it has been end-to-end stuff. Excellently marshalled by Mark Maher in the middle of the field, who has and is allowing the game to develop, which is great to see.
Puck out down towards his near sideline and climbing highest there on that occasion was Adam Walsh, but didn't get a grasp of it. John Curwen, long ball, cleared out back by Kieran Maguire. A bit of ping pong here in the opening stages. Conditions on a beautiful evening here and a beautifully laid out Páirc Uí Rinn. Here is Conor Hazelwood off the left hand side, landing a shot inside the edge of the square. Second time that's going to squirt on through. Adam Hayes just not getting a hand to it and cleared out by Ben Heffernan over towards that far side of the field. Possession over on that far side. Glen Rovers looking to try and win it. They've done that through Owen O'Sullivan. Long ball in towards the top of the left, but again the sweeper Maguire winning that, clearing his lines down the far side. But Glen Rovers, that is, are well set up. Really is a Roy of the Rovers tussle in the opening stages of this Premier 1 final in the minor grade. Possession over on the far side with the Glen. Here's Owen O'Sullivan clearing the lines in towards that full forward line, but again Bright Rovers defence clean it out through Maguire. Here is Adam Walsh. He's inside there. He's won possession once again. He scored a penalty at last. Hurling's being held as he fell to the floor, and the Bright Rovers wing forward winning a free just outside the 45-metre line.
He's a massive man, in fairness to Adam Walsh, and he's obviously, his area ability is one of the key things that he has, but he is an extremely skillful player as well. But it's quite noticeable, Patrick, early in the game, that both teams are playing with a sweeper, and the ball that's going into both forward lines is being picked out by the sweeper, and Ronan O'Connell, I suppose, is a pain in his arm at this stage on a number of balls that have actually gone into the Glen forward line. So it's actually the use of the ball that's going in that the teams have got to watch for. They've got to make sure that that's a poor wide there, I think, from the free taker for Bright Rovers. They'll be disappointed with that. But I was just making a point that it's the ball that's going into the forward line needs to be a bit more accurate and needs to avoid the sweeper.
Adam Hayes was with that wide ball on that occasion. So it remains a point apiece inside the end of the 7th minute of this final. Ball walked over towards that far side of the field. Donegal Wall blocked down on that occasion, and Bright Rovers have pounced on that breaking ball, but well played by the Glen defence, and they tried to clear their lines. John Corwin heading over towards that far side of the field. Ball still in play, under pressure. Now it's gone out, and it's going to be a line ball for Bright Rovers inside that 45-metre line in front of the stand, the empty shed.
And the, kind of the scrappy and intense nature of the game is suiting Bright Rovers at the moment. You know, they're pressuring ferociously there. At times the Glen actually have two spare men in their full back line, John Corwin and Ryan Maroney, because Bright Rovers are flooding bodies outside and leaving Adam Hayes inside. And Glen have cleared their lines on multiple occasions, but if one of those balls could stick, there'd be a goal chance, you know.
Adam Hayes with a cut, but that was going to the long left-hand side and wide. For all you people out there who might have played in the 80s and 90s, you might remember a man of the name of Pat Welch. He's Adam Welch's uncle, who played with Bright Rovers back in the 90s and noughties. Often got in a big battle for the Rathcormac Bay side. As Mark Landers turns to his left to look at me. Obviously he's been involved in a tackle or two, as Glen Rovers have played the short puck out. Rhys Dunn in towards the centre to Charlie Hurley. Going a long way in. It's not going to reach the 6-yard box. It's inside the parallel. We're pulled in. Our first time is again goal inside. And that's the breaking goal.
Yeah, pure Portugal's goal. I think it's Stephen Lynham, son of Ian, has got the goal. High ball into the square, batted down, and any good foreign forward followed in the ball, pulled first time, back in the net. Big score for the Glen.
Breaking a deadlock inside the 9th minute here in Páirc Uí Rinn. What's the character like for Bright Rovers? Well, Adam Welch is always going to show character. It's going towards the edge of the square. Could have been picked out there by Adam Hayes, but it's going to be cleared by the Glen defence. And it's cleared out over the sideline to that far side. It's going to be a second opportunity here for Bright Rovers. Quickly take, well, it was going to be quickly taken. Referee blew the whistle. He's allowed play continue on as Rhys Dunn was half blocked down over that far side of the field. Dunn is back in there and he's been marshalled out over the sideline for the sideline ball for the Glen.
And I was just mentioning how Bright Rovers were threatening a goal by launching a few high balls in around the edge of the square, which they did again on that occasion. But the Glen's full forward line has been very, very good all the way through this championship. That's why they have 4 wins from 4. Lynham, Walsh, or Maguire, they're all capable of pouncing for goals. And Lynham was very classy there. One hand, he didn't try to do anything fancy. He just banged into the back of the net, and it's a huge advantage for the Glen now, having had, a slow start to the first 7 or 8 minutes of the game.
Sideline balls after working his way down to Bright Rovers territory is Ronan O'Connell has cleared his lines. Back down on top of O'Connell. Once again, he's playing a sweeping role the early stages of this first half. Speaking to Mark O'Connell earlier on, obviously very, very disappointed that the calibre of a player like Killian Tobin is going to be missing this final. A real opportunity. Wow, that was a big hit there on Ronan O'Connell. Square on, says the referee. Play continues on. There's David Barry under pressure over on that far side of the field. Here's Owen O'Sullivan now from the 65-metre line. Plays it inside. Walking through the lines now, and here come the Glen on the attack, looking for their second point of the game, and a man turning away, Owen O'Leary, 1-5 in that semi-final. He opens his account in the Premier 1 final.
And a real classy score. Took the possession first time into the hand, one step to the left over the bar for 45-50 metres. Really good classy score from Owen O'Leary.
Puck out, going looking for Adam Hayes, or Adam Walsh I should say, but he's been closely marshalled there by 3 or 4 Glen men, as the Glen start to clear their lines. They're going route 1 here now, because Rhys Dunn has played this long. Inside, turned around, snap around the body. That's a sublime score from the Glen, and another going to the way of Stephen Lynham.
That was an absolutely outstanding score. Look, I mean, that's the type of thing that he's been doing all year. He's not the biggest young fella. I mean, as I said, he's a late birthday. He's not even turning 16 till later in the year, but he's just got a lovely touch and very good wrists. A real classy forward, as you'd expect from the Glen.
Great catch inside here by Adam Walsh. Turns around, hits it left, but it's going a long way. It's going too long left. Going left and wide. Of course, it was a Cork minor hurling panelist, Damon. Adam Walsh was coming on, we were mentioning beforehand, with coming on and replacing Ben Nyan during the year. Yeah,
that was the tactic the Cork selectors used all year in all 4 of their matches. Ben Nyan from Glen Rovers played the first half. A taller, kind of rangier player, a bit more mobile maybe than Adam, and then Adam came in the second half of every game. He got a great goal in the first match against Clare, and he was hugely effective in all those matches. But Bride need him to be hugely effective today, because he's carrying a lot of the ball winning burden there in the half-hour line for him.
Sure is indeed, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on his shoulders undoubtedly during this game, as Bride Rovers looking to try a win that. There was a half a hook in there, and the ball's not going to go out of play just quite yet, as Adam Hayes gets down to it, stops it in from going out of play, looking to try and work a better scoreline. That's a great block inside there by the Glen Rovers man, but the ball's going to work out here to the full forward, Louis Roach I should say, and Louis Roach it is for Bride Rovers, getting himself on the score sheet here, Mark.
And it's a very important score for Bride Rovers, because they drifted out of the game. They were losing 1-3 to a point. They can't let the game get away from them at this stage. But I suppose one of the things you'll be looking, Patrick, is that Adam Welch, could he be deployed at the edge of the square to take the sweeper out of it at some stage?
Puck out to that far side. Owen O'Leary is winning it on this occasion. Sloppy enough ball back to his wing back Donegal Wall, who was half hooked on that occasion. Bride Rovers now trying to work it out of a triangle. Conor Hazelwood playing it to the top of the right. The Bride Rovers man slipping all over the shop. He's done well to keep on his feet, keep composure. He pops it out to his captain, David Barry. He's been harried and hassled by 3 Glen Rovers men. Barry gets a hurley back in there, but now the Glen Rovers men have a chance to try and clear their lines. They do, to the far side of the field. Eldon O'Connor over there from a Bride Rovers point of view, but it is the Glen who have come out on top here once again, and there's a free one there for a pull of the jersey on the Glen man. It's going to be a free in for the City side.
Yeah, and I suppose a legitimate free, Patrick, you'd have to say. There was a slight tug on the jersey, but you'd have to say after 13 minutes, that I think is only the second free that has been awarded by McMahon. So the spirit of the game has been fantastic. The attitude of the players is fantastic. I suppose, the crowd aren't really into it yet, because we're probably expecting a few more goals and stuff like that. And I suppose with the first game that we had earlier on, we had 6 goals, and it was a very tight finish. So, overall, it's a very good standard, very competitive, and it's an enjoyable game so far.
Chance here now for Owen O'Leary from that 65-metre fly, going a long way in, measured brilliantly by Ronan O'Reilly, and just tapping the crossbar in acknowledgement of that super free from a long way out.
Yeah, and look, Owen O'Leary is a classy player. He'll be very prominent now next month when he's in Harty Cup action with Christians, who are expected to be very competitive in that competition. I've no doubt they will. He's a lovely rangy player. Like in the minor action for Cork this year, he was probably overshadowed a small bit by Jack Leahy, who was playing there for Kiltog a while ago. Just the way the game went, he kind of got a bit more of the ball, but both of them are top class players, and Owen's showing that already here.
2-on-1 situation inside, but Ronan O'Connell has met with that from a Bride Rovers point of view, and they clear their lines, but it's only out into space in favour of the Glen. Glen with an opportunity, long ball in again, but that's dangerous there from Ronan O'Connell, playing dangerously on the briar really. Walked outside out here to Owen O'Leary once again. O'Leary is there's a mistake by the keeper. And Kieran or Ronan O'Connell has to get back there in effect to try and clear the lines. And here's Conor Hazelwood. Hazelwood playing a short to the middle of the field to Dave Barry. Precision hurling from Rovers, long ball to the corner. Here is Josh Ahern now, but he's going to be beaten to the punch by John Corwin from the Glen. And Corwin under pressure on that far side, but good pressure applied by Josh Ahern. And it's going to be a line ball for Bride Rovers, Mark.
Yeah,
Playing dangerously defensive.
Yeah, but I suppose just the keeper, he just lost his footing, I think, on the way out, but they did well to clear the danger. But there has been some lovely stick work, and you mentioned David Barry there. He struck a fantastic ball into the corner there. Unfortunately, and I keep mentioning, there's a sweeper inside there for the Glen. So the most important thing from the Rovers' perspective is they've got to get the ball into a 1-on-1 situation rather than a 2-on-1 situation.
So Louis Roach now changing sideline taker. Little dink over the top, but just going to run into a Glen man. But he's been held up here by Adam Walsh. That's a good tackle by Walsh, but referee is going to pin him for pulling a Hurley just at the last moment at the end of that tackle.
And we're coming up to the water break here now, in the next minute. So I suppose, look, considering they've conceded a goal, Bride Rovers have probably settled okay, but they were lucky not to get away with conceding a second one there. The full-back, actually, Liam Collins, was very composed with the last pass out of defence, and it moved the ball out the other end of the field. But, it was worrying for Bride, and I think there is a goal threat danger the whole time down there from the Glen.
Ben Heffernan with the free into Bride Rovers territory, and here comes the Glen with a classy pick here from Owen O'Leary, racing inside the 20-metre line, turns onto the right, and that's a sublime score from the Cork Minor star, gone in between the uprights, and at the start of the 17th minute, it's 1-5 to 2 points.
And that's 3 points from Owen O'Leary for centre forward, 2 from play and 1 from a free. Struck 1 off of the right, 1 off of the left. Very, very composed, good player.
Puck out from Ronan O'Riordan. Adam Walsh obviously just stood there because he's the biggest man in the field by a long, long way. Big, awkward, lanky man inside there, really at the bottom of the ruck. But the Glen man, who was the smaller man on the inside there, was Zach Lynch. He came out with it. Offloading to Fiarco O'Driscoll. Playing down the centre of the park. But Bride Rovers have won the breaking ball through Dennis Cashman. Think ball over the top, but the Glen have come out with it on this occasion. It's a foul in the centre of the field. Donegal Wall was fouled. There's a free advantage here as the ball is played long inside the full forward line. Referee's brought it back. He says the advantage isn't clear because it was a Bride Rovers 2-on-1 advantageous position. So he's going to bring the advantage back for a free from the centre of the field.
Yeah, and that's a very good decision, Patrick, because the Glen Rovers player was pulled and dragged, and Mark Maher did have his hand raised, and he allowed the advantage to take place, but there was a 2-on-1 situation inside, and he decided to blow it up and bring it back for a free.
Some attention here for one of the Bride Rovers players. That's the centre-back, Dennis Cashman. Just might got a slap across the hand when he was clearing the last phase of play before a free was awarded. And a good opportunity here now for Owen O'Leary to tack on another score. This time from the centre of the field. And O'Leary, as Mark mentioned a while ago, who's already got 3 points in this game, looking for his 4th. And no doubting that from the Glen Rovers centre forward.
Yeah, a little bit of daylight now, kind of, starting to creep into the game. I suppose, the Glen are just finding it that small bit easier to score, and also they're forcing Bride now into a few fouls. We were just commenting on how there were very few frees in the game, and there's been 3 now in the last 3 minutes, and all from the Glen picking up good dirty ball, driving at Bride and forcing them into committing the fouls.
Adam Walsh picking up a long ball, going long inside the edge of the square. It's been stopped inside by the Bride Rovers man, but that was Adam Hayes. Ben Heffernan has to try and clear these lines. He does. He just blows it out to the shed and get it out of here, out of danger, as Mark Maher pulls for the water break at 18 and a half minutes. Mark, slow start in the opening 5 minutes. It was a point apiece, but Glen Rovers have taken over in the last 13 minutes, scoring 1-5 to a point.
They have, Patrick, and it was extremely competitive in the first 5 or 6 minutes of the game. Nip and tuck. Bride Rovers had scored early, but the Glen Rovers team have warmed to the task, particularly in their back line, where they have picked up an awful lot of loose ball and loose clearances that have been hit in, I suppose, into the corners and into positions where there was an extra man on a good few occasions. But I suppose the big score of the game has come from Stephen Nyan at corner forward, a real poacher's goal, ball coming in high, batted back into play, and Lynham was there at the edge of the square to double on the ball. But overall, I suppose it's, the Glen, I suppose we can't forget the loss of Killian Tobin as well as for Bride Rovers. When you lose one of your big stars and main scorers, it's a very, very difficult task. But, at this moment in time, we'd have to say that the Glen are well on top.
Yeah, it's a difficult one for Bright Rovers because, I mean, look, they need to commit bodies out around the middle, for starters, because Owen Leary's playing at centre forward, so you don't want him getting too much clean possession if you can. As good an all-man marker as Dennis Cashman is, he has his hands full, obviously, with a top-class player on him. So it just means that they're short in the full forward line. For most part, Adam Hayes is up there on his own, and it makes it very, very difficult for them, especially when John Corwin is doing so well at just snapping up that loose ball and just getting it out, And the Glen aren't too worried where they're clearing their lines. There's actually been a number of sidelines in front of the terrace there on the far side across from us, because the Glen are just getting the ball away. That's the main thing. Keep it away from the inside line, and it's worked. They've only conceded 2 points.
But to be fair, at the edge of the square, Adam Hayes has shown a bit of danger, but when Adam Walsh gets on ball, he's liable to do anything, and he can take a shot. He's a rangy player and he can shoot from 65, 70 yards out.
Yeah, Adam Walsh is a big, strong guy, but I suppose, again, like even when he's winning ball, the Glen are cute out there, well tuned into his abilities. He's a Cork minor, so when he does get it, the players are going to him. So it's not just Fiach Rodriguez who's picked him up a couple of times there. It's the whole half-back line.
Here is the aforementioned Adam Walsh, sideline going short, and ball's walked in over towards that far side into Glen 45-yard territory, and it is the Glen who come out with it. Half a hook here on that man, but the Bright Rovers centre back Dennis Cashman playing an advanced role. Good hook by Owen O'Leary. Great dainty flick up there. Bright Rovers man. And that ball's gone out over the sideline for a wide ball. Good flick up there by Adam Hines though. Good effort from the Bright Rovers wing back.
Yes, but Bright Rovers now, Patrick, starts the second quarter here, will need to get a couple of scores on the board. They can't afford to let the Glen get out of sight, and the next 5 or 6 minutes now are very, very important from a Bright Rovers perspective. They've got to stay in the game and get a couple of scores.
Puck out over towards that far side of the field, and Kieran Ronan O'Connell it is, who was at the bottom of that ruck, has won that ball, winning a free. Well, there's an advantage coming from Ronan Hazelwood. Referee says no, that's too much of a 50-50 ball, no advantage for the Bride, and they win a free inside, just outside their own 45.
Yeah, and Bright Rovers have made one change in their half-back line there. Just in terms of man-marking duties, Dennis Cashman has gone across onto Charlie Hurley, and they've actually brought Kieran Cotter into the centre to see if he can quieten down Owen O'Leary a bit. Whether that'll work or not, I don't know, because Owen O'Leary just looks so in form at the moment, but it reflects how dominant he's been up to now.
Well, they found a free man here, and there's a man with a dainty pick up, Adam Hines. Hines with the shot, and Hines with the third point for Bright Rovers, his first of the evening.
Yeah, and an excellent score, picked out from the free, and a good play again by Mark Maher, who allowed an advantage. There wasn't any advantage to Crew. He brought back the free, and the Bright Rovers defence have found a loose man over the bar. Good score for the Rovers.
Puck out from Heffernan over towards that far side of the field, squirts through to the full forward for Bright Rovers, Cian Walsh. Long ball into the corner forward position, Cian Maguire. Being closely marshalled by his fellow number 13, Ronan O'Connell. Over there is the Glen man. He just took it, taken out over the sideline. That was Owen O'Sullivan.
And the Glen are making you earn your commentating spurs tonight with all the white helmets in the forward line. I presume it's a tribute to Patrick Horgan, because basically 5 of their 6 forwards are predominantly white in their helmets. So that's making it very, very difficult for us all spotting who's there. But Owen Leary is in centre forward. He's outstanding just there. I think it was full forward number 14, Cian Walsh, who's gone out to the wing to try and get a bit of possession. Ball
won by David Barry from the sideline. But as Glen Rovers are going to be clearing their lines here. Through the wing-back Sean Cronin, long ball into the half-forward line. Under pressure inside there's Cormac O'Sullivan from the Bride. 2 men on the floor there from a Bride Rovers point of view, but one of them has come away with it. That was Conor Hazelwood, was hooked on the first occasion there by Cian Walsh. Walsh now trying to get a handle on it. Pops the ball back outside. Walking through the lines. Good flick away there. Turning away was Kieran Maguire. Maguire just trouble to picking it up. Finds a man outside. Looks like Owen O'Leary's inside. He just got taken out of it there, but he still could have come away with the possession of the ball. He has. He's got away with it. Going for a shot, and he's got the left hand wide. Good opportunity there for O'Leary.
I'd be disappointed with that, Patrick, because there was a 2-on-2 situation, and if he failed to catch the ball the first time, but got the opportunity to knock it over the bar and didn't seize the opportunity.
Puck out over towards that far side of the field. And the chance for Bright Rovers, well, At one stage, it looked like they were going to win the ball. They have one possession under pressure there, but doing very well with a great flick away. A legal challenge, says our referee. And referee, well, something happened just off the ball. I just missed it, lads. You might have picked it up, one of the two of you. Referee Mark Mars just settling things back down once again.
Just a small bit of afters after the ball had flown forward there. The fellas trying, I suppose, show how tough they are. It's a county final. Mark is so experienced that, as Mark Landers has said, Mark Mara is one of the top refs in the county. He's a very cool, calm customer. He lets a nice bit of physicality go and he doesn't get too excited about anything, and that's exactly what he's doing here now. Just going back to the free. I mean, Bright Rovers have a free anyway in a very scoreable position here now. So that will trim the gap down to a goal and 2 points. They'll be happy enough with that.
And the referee is actually bringing this forward for some dissent. It was actually going to be out by the sideline when Cathal Tracy was marked by the sideline, but Mark Mara says no. It's being brought in for dissent on the Bright Rovers men. And a chance here now for Adam Hines to take this one and bisect those posts. So 2 quick points from Hines in the corner forward position.
Yeah, that's 2 points to the Rovers for Bright Rovers, obviously, in the second quarter here, which is exactly what they require. And they can't do now is concede another goal. And just off the camera, I suppose the Glen Rovers are playing 2 on the inside line and 1 on the 45-yard line. So they're playing a diamond or triangle formation up front.
My fault in correction. There was Adam Hayes who got that score moments ago. So Hayes with his second point of the game. And that's going to be a right and wide from a Bright Rovers point of view. So we're inside the final 6 minutes, Aim, and Bright Rovers now just getting the last 2 scores since the conclusion at water break.
Yeah, and they, look, they're battling very, very hard. I mean, what would you expect out of a Bright Rovers team except 100% commitment at all times, and great aggression and great drive. And the game looked like it was going away from them. They're hanging on in there.
Owen O'Leary's, I thought the hurley was being held for a stage. Play continues on as the ball's walked outside to Donegal Wall. There's a one-on-one situation inside, and it is Stephen Lynham, the goal scorer, shortens the grip of the hurley. That's a classy score from Stephen Lynham.
Yeah, it was lovely stick work. You'd usually tell a young fella, look, go up and try and catch the ball, but in that instance, his marker was going to go with the hurley, so he used the hurley to actually knock the ball down to himself, and then he shortened the grip. Tight angle, but very, very good wrists. Classy point. 1-2 from play for him now.
Puck out down to this near sideline from Ronan O'Riordan. Breaking ball coming out of the way of the Bars, and the Bars trying to win this one through Dennis Cashman. Cashman with possession, sending it over towards that far side of the field. And play continues on over towards that far side. Shot going there from Adam Walsh. He's turning away with absolute delight. Brilliant score from Adam Walsh.
Yeah, they needed that really, I suppose, just to respond to the Glen score, keep themselves in it, and for Adam Walsh, that's a nice lift now just to get a score on the board for himself. Obviously he's a fierce workhorse, but Bright Rovers need him to score.
So we're double scores here on Páirc Uí Rinn. 1-7 for the Glen, 5 points Bright Rovers as that ball's walked down the line by Owen O'Leary into the corner, looking for Lynham once again. Stephen breaking back inside, drops the ball, turns back inside, might go for a second shot, and goal across the field. Goal! Classy goal from Stephen Lynham, the double his tally for the evening.
Yeah, and the easiest thing there would have been to pop the ball over the bar, because he had been half fouled. The ball broke kindly for him, to be fair, picked it up beautifully, could have easily just taken his point, and he picked his spot superbly. It was almost a soccer style finish right into the side of the net. Absolutely superb.
We're seeing some classy scores in this blue ribbon event for the Rebel Oak, the Premier 1 Minor Hurling Championship final, and the Glen have taken the game by the scruff of the neck. 2-7 to 5 points as the ball's walked into Glen territory once again, and again it's their captain Owen Varian showing good leadership defensively back there. Plays it back to his cornerback. Good tackle on John Corwin though, so the Bright Rovers won't die without the fight, and they're trying to work it through the lines up towards the full forward line, looking for Cian Walsh over on that far side of the field. Walsh is getting the hurley inside her. He might get possession as well for his troubles. Turns back to the left hand side. Good stick work. As Bright Rovers now looking to try and clear their lines. Under pressure there. Plays it outside out towards Ronan O'Connell. O'Connell being harried and hassled. That was a high tackle there on O'Connell. As he throws away the ball. In fact, that was Kieran Cotter, I should say, who was fouled. And
he looks like he's hurt.
Yeah.
Patrick just got to go back to the goal by Stephen Lynham, and Eamon, quite rightly, he tucked it away. He actually didn't blast it. He looked at the corner and he actually placed it into the corner and bounced it along the ground. Fantastic goal, great confidence shown by young Lynham. He's 2 goals and 2 points scored in the first 27 minutes of the game. It's a great return from any corner forward in a County Premier 1 minor final.
So obviously some concern here for Kieran Cotter. Just pick up an injury in the process of racing out to that ball. Seems to be happy enough to leave play continue on. And a chance here now for Ronan O'Riordan from inside his own 65-metre line. Inside the final 2 minutes of regulation time in this opening half. And long ball in from O'Riordan going in towards the edge of the square. The Hurley's going to come in wild. The Bride Rovers just missing on it was Adam Walsh, and a chance for the Glen to try and clear their lines out through Zach Lynch. But places out short towards the midfield for Bride Rovers. That's not a great shot from David Barry, the captain, going right and wide.
Yeah, and he'd be disappointed with that, and it's a score that the Rovers would have needed before half-time just to negate the goal that the Glen Rovers had got previously to that.
So the referee just giving the 4th official, well in fact he's giving it to Cahan Tracy, how much extra or injury time is going to be played on. So that message is going to be passed on to the 4th official over on that far side of the field, who is Diarmuid Corwin and Colin Vaughan for the evening. We've actually a 4th and 5th official over there, as Glen looking to try and clear the lines through their captain Owen Varian under pressure over there from Josh Ahern. Good tussle for possession over on that far side in front of the empty shed. Good crowd here this evening. Rebel Oak expecting an attendance of 2,000 between the 2 games, as that's going to be a free out for the Glen.
No, I think he's given a free in as far as I can see.
Yeah, it's free in, yeah.
And it's a very scoreable one there as well. So, look, if they do put it over, I know they'll be 7 points down, but it's only 7 to 6 points. And the wide count is actually 6-2 to Bride Rovers, you know what I mean? So, credit to the Glen there, I suppose, for hounding fellas who were shooting and for their work rate. But at the end of the day, there isn't a massive amount in it. The Glen are just that bit more dangerous in around the square, particularly with Lynham.
2 minutes of injury time has been awarded as Adam Hayes takes this one by setting those posts. So 2-7 plays 6 points, Eamon.
Yeah, so there you go. So, look, I suppose ideally for Bride, if they could even chip another point off this lead going in at half-time, they'd tell themselves they're still in it. I think where they're going to run into difficulty is that there's 2 men inside for the Glen. One of them, Stephen Lynham, he's in great form, but it's not like they can leave a complete sweeper in front of him, because then you leave Owen O'Leary in too much space at the half-hour line.
Good block down on the hurley of Liam Collins over there in the centre of the park. Diving there like a dolphin into water was David Barry, trying to clean out possession, but the Glen have come out on top of it. Ball being worked inside there by Owen O'Leary, but good control and good composure from the Bride Rovers keeper Ronan O'Riordan, as the Bride Rovers have won the breaking ball on this occasion. And a second bite of the cherry for the Glen, trying to walk inside. Stephen Lynham left that ball just behind him, ricocheted off his foot, and that gave an opportunity for the Bride Rovers men to try and clear their lines. Here's their captain, David Barry. And Barry was fouled on that occasion, and that's going to be a free out.
And David Barry has gone through Mark said it earlier, David Barry's gone through a lot of work. He's a nice tasty hurler, and he's putting himself about. He's probably the pick of the midfielders from either team at the moment.
Oh, what a catch, fielding catch there by Adam Walsh. Big man, big in stature, and that's a sublime score from the Bride Rovers wing forward.
Yeah, and I'd mentioned Patrick earlier in the game that I felt that to negate the sweeper, that Adam Welch would want to be deployed at the edge of the square, but the delivery of the ball is a critical thing. A number of balls have gone in low. Owen Varian has had the better on the deck, but certainly if the ball is hit in high, I think Walsh will have the advantage.
Bride Rovers have batted that ball down, but straight down top of a Glen man, and they've negated the sweeper here on this occasion. 2 Glen Hurleys getting each other's way. One of those was Charlie Hurley, and that gave an opportunity for Conor Hazelwood to clear his lines. Sent it over towards that far side of the field, and going on his bike is Louis Roach, I should say, already getting a point to his name. Now here is Adam Walsh once again, reduced the margin down to 6 moments to go. Can he reduce it once more down to 5? He can. It's down to 5 points as we enter half time.
And that's 2 points from Adam Walsh now, playing it full forward. Great work by the corner forward from Bride Rovers to get the ball to him. Welsh took on a couple of players, knocked it over off his right-hand side. That's 2 off his right and 1 off of the left. He's really in the game now at this stage.
And that is half-time here in this Premier 1 minor hurling final. By the way, after an interesting opening half, Glen Rovers 2-7, Bride Rovers 8 points, and it's been an enthralling half, but really the difference, Eamon Murphy, you had 2 goals from Stephen Lynham and 2 classy goals at it.
Yeah, that's it. And look, in fairness to Bride Rovers, I mean, they were 8 points down there when Lynham took the second goal superbly, but they've got 3 points in the last couple of minutes, 2 of them in injury time at the end of that half, and it makes it a very tight contest now going into the second half. It's still going to be difficult for Bride Rovers to bridge the gap, but spot on having Adam Walsh at the edge of the square there. I mean, he's more than capable of getting a goal to go with those 3 points he has already.
Yeah, and Patrick, I suppose if you break it down in quarters, Glen Rovers led 1-6 to 2 points in the first quarter, but the second quarter was actually owned by Bride Rovers. It was 1-1 to the Glen, 6 points to Bride Rovers. I suppose if they hadn't conceded a goal, it would be 6 points to 1 to Bride Rovers, and you'd be saying to yourself that each of the teams would have had a quarter. So the goals are a big defining factor in the course of this match at the moment. Both of them have gone to the Glen. 2 good opportunities. One, a ball that was hit high into the square, was batted down by the Bride Rovers corner forward, and Lynham was on hand to nip in and strike it to the net. But the second one was a really good goal. He turned his man, picked his spot and tapped it into the corner. A really good corner forward score. But, coming away from half-time, he scored 2 goals and 2 points, Patrick. Will the Bride Rovers be looking at changing the cornerback in that situation? I don't know whether they have somebody to actually come in and mark Lynham at that level, but it's, for the fact that they are without Killian Tobin and all for tonight, it is great credit due to Bride Rovers at this moment in time. It has 5 points in it, and as Eamon said, it had stretched out to 8, but they have dragged it back to 5 points. It's still in the melting pot. This game is there for either of the 2 teams, but you'd have to say at the moment that the Glen, with the 2 goals, are probably still in the driving seat. And you probably you did mention in commentary, Eamon, about the second goal for Stephen Lynham. The easy thing was to take the point. The brave decision was to go for that far bottom corner.
Yeah, and in fairness, like Stephen Lynham, he's not the biggest young fella. I mean, he's not that he's light, but he's not particularly tall. But he can win the ball in the air on the hurling, and that's exactly what I was there. He just snapped up the ball very quickly on the deck. His touch is fantastic. It was a really classy score. But you'd have to say, like we said just after the start of the second quarter, that Bride Rovers had made a switch in their half-back line. Kieran Cotter went across on Owen O'Leary, and while Owen O'Leary's still been good, he's done better on him than Dennis Cashman had. And by the same token, Dennis Cashman's actually hurled a couple of balls up the right wing and just got more involved, So that switch has worked well. Mark said that maybe there could be another switch in the full back line, and that's not anything against any of the Glen cornerbacks. Cormac O'Sullivan, I think, was picking up Stephen Lynham initially. Nothing against him there. It's just that maybe a little change might liven things up. They wouldn't even necessarily be a sub. It could just be actually a switch in personnel. But the Bride have a bit of a buzz there now. There's a bit of momentum,
Okay, let's change tack just for a couple of minutes, because obviously yesterday was a monstrous day. Super Sunday is what we had as part 1. We've Super Sunday next Sunday if you want to tune in. We've got Nemo Rangers and Douglas next Sunday, the Premier Senior Football Championship, live on the Irish Examiner at 2 o'clock throw-in. We'll be on air from 1:30 here in Park Urin, and we'll be going around the grounds covering all 6 games. But let's touch on yesterday, Mark, because yesterday was an extraordinary day. It changed so many times in the final 10 minutes, but the qualifying or the knockout stage that we've left in hand. Let's just start with the quarterfinals. Let's keep it simple.
Yeah.
We start with the top bracket.
Yeah. And
Erin's Own and Middleton.
Yeah, well, the top half of the draw at this moment in time, and we have to put in the caveat, and I'll explain it to you now. Erin's Own are playing Middleton in one quarterfinal. The winners play SARS. It's an all East Cork side of the draw. But if Douglas and the Glen avoid each other on the other side of the draw, you will have a repeat, and Middleton beat Erin's Own. You're going to have a repeat pairing in the championship, which means that Middleton will switch down to the other side of the draw. So really, we have to wait and see, Patrick, what's going to happen.
It's all depending on the CCC, is my understanding.
Right, okay, well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, my understanding is that there can't be a repeat pairing.
Yes, correct.
If at all possible. Yeah. So they're the words that are being used, if at all possible, and that's why I'm saying the only possible other pairing, so the other quarter-final is Douglas and Blackrock, and the winners are going to play Glen or McKilly. But if the Glen win through and Douglas win through, they have already played each other in the group format. So that pairing can't be allowed, and a Middleton Sars pairing can't be allowed. So Middleton will definitely be coming out of the top side of the draw, and it'll probably be a toss of a coin if the Glen and Douglas play each other. But they are big ifs now, Patrick. There's a lot to be played for.
So come back to my first question. Who wins the first bracket?
Well, that's a very... Patrick, we covered the game here yesterday, Sars and Middleton. I think Middleton would be really, really disappointed with the way they performed yesterday. They've probably come up against the favourites for the championship in Sars yesterday. Erin's Own have been magnificent all year. There's only 3 undefeated teams in the championship this year: Sars, Douglas and Erin's Own. They've had a win and 2 draws. And Erin's Own is just a team that just will not give up. They will not give in. So, Patrick, that is a very, very tight game to call. Middleton will probably be on the back foot slightly, I would suggest, because of their performance yesterday. I think they'll be very disappointed coming away with what they conceded. And I think, depending on where the match is played, the outcome of that game, if it's on in Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
Well, it is in Páirc Uí Chaoimh because it's on the Friday night at 7:30. And Eamon, just briefly, because the players are coming out here to start the second half, we've got the bottom half, Douglas and Blackrock, and Glen and Inverkilly.
Yeah, it's a tough one for Douglas, who've basically got to go play the champions of the county now, having been one of the standout teams in the group stages and won all their matches. I suppose Blackrock will be worthy favourites there, and I think the Glen will have unfinished business with Inverkilly. I think they'll think they own one, even though their form hasn't been great up to now.
So those 2 games on the October Bank Holiday weekend, we'll bring you those very shortly indeed, as this Premier 2 Hurling Championship final, Premier 1 Hurling Championship final, I should say, gets underway again. And let's see where this is going to go, because Young Lynham is already out to the ball, and that is a very, very quick score inside 15 seconds, and the margin back out to 6 points.
Yeah, and a magnificent score straight after half time, just exactly what the Glen would be requiring. They're going to make the best of their way home now, try and stretch out this lead to 7 or 8 points.
2-8, early score from Stephen Lynham as Adam Walsh, big stature of a man, looking to try and get a great reply. That's a big shot going in, but it's dragging left and dragging to the left and wide. Just to go through those fixtures, Erin's Own play Middleton at 7:30 in Páirc Uí Chaoimh on Friday the 23rd, and then you go for a double header on the Sunday afternoon, Douglas and Blackrock on Sunday the 25th at 2 o'clock, and then followed by Glen Rovers and Inverkilly with a 4 o'clock throw-in. Both those games in Páirc Uí Chaoimh on the Sunday, the bank holiday, as we see a super catch in front of us from Conor Hazelwood going for the one-on-one situation inside. Adam Hayes is inside, sliding in on the tackle is Louis Roach, man on the floor, looking to try and gain possession. Big tussle for possession. There's one inside there by Josh O'Hearn. He's trying to break through 2-3 tacklers. His hand has been held inside there. Referee allows play continue on, and the Glen are going to come away with it. And looks like Owen Varian it is once again who's going to clear these lines. Pops the ball short as the Bright Rovers attacker tries to evade away out towards Cian Walsh. Switch the play back over towards that far side of the field. Ball's going to break out. Adam Hayes got a hurry in it, but it's going to be cleared out in time by Glen Rovers, and a chance for them to set up an attack over towards that far side of the field. Heavy challenge on Owen O'Leary as Bright Rovers trying to clear their lines. Well, there's a shot going here from the Glen. Owen O'Leary got a snap around the body, going along inside towards the parallelogram. Bright Rovers defence under pressure inside here. Great hand inside there, and young chunky Lynham nearly got a hand on it. There's a high hurley, and it's going to be a free out there. You can see Stephen Lynham just at the side of the ruck, waiting to poach that breaking ball.
He nearly pounced again, and they have made a change there in the full back line, trying to curb Lynham, but whether that'll have the desired effect or not, we'll have to wait and see. I think Dennis Cashman has gone back, as far as I can see, back in on top of him. Let's check that now in a second, but he's just so dangerous every time the ball bounces anywhere in his vicinity.
Breaking ball won by the Glen and clear, but Conor Hazelwood showing a great hand once again here in this second half, and Hazelwood trying to clear his lines. Well, a super hook inside there by Rhys Dunn. He's pushed him out over the sideline, and it's going to be a Glen Rovers line ball.
His own area actually there, getting stuck in and getting the hook in and putting the pressure on, which was superb work rate and leadership from their key player.
And there's a car being called out by our PA announcer to be removed, or the Gardaí will be removing it. Mr. Murphy, I hope it's not you.
Hopefully not. This is too exciting anyway. We'll have to take our chances if it is.
Rhys Dunn, picked pocket there by Owen O'Leary and stitches it over the bar.
A real pickpocket is right, Patrick, and that's his 5th point of the evening. Himself and Stephen Lynham are certainly carrying the game. They have 2-8 scored out of the 2-9 between the two of them.
Puck out from Ronan O'Riordan down towards this near sideline of the field. Bright Rovers now really in effort of scores, but that's great pressure from a Glen defensive point of view from both Sean Cronin and Donncha Wall.
Unbelievable now, Patrick, and the game is definitely in the melting pot now. The Glen have certainly started the brighter. Their tackling has been excellent for Conor Hazel a while ago, bundled out over the line, and another Bright Rovers, two Glen Rovers men bundling him out over the line. So they're certainly getting into the physical side of things here now.
Free given away there by Owen O'Sullivan. Just remember that Premier 2 final a while ago. We mentioned at the top of the show, Kiltehog were clear by 10 points in the 36th minute, but 4-6 to 8 points from Shandrum brought him back and levelled the game at the end of normal time, and they're heading to a replay. So you can't really say this game is over, even though it looks like the Glen have got one hand in that cup. They're not just home yet.
No, absolutely not. And goals will be key. And as long as Adam Walsh keeps hurling well in around the edge of the square, you know, he's more than capable of getting a goal. But to be fair to the Glen backs, that free has just gone over the bar there now. Very well taken by Adam Hayes. To be fair to the Glen backs, you know, John Corwin, Donncha Wall, especially Owen Varian as well, they have been very, very solid all the way through the game.
Hayes' 4th point of the game, I'm clocking. In the end of the 5th minute of this Premier 1 final, the puck out from Ben Heffernan in towards the centre of the park over on that far side of the field under the lights here in Parky Rin. Puck out over towards that far side. David Barry in possession. And he's been harried and hassled over towards that far side. Just a reminder, on Sunday we bring you live coverage of the Premier Senior Football Championship clash between Nemo Rangers and Douglas. Very much a winner-takes-all contest, and as for the loser, depends on the other result of the game between Valley Rovers and Carrigaline. And of course, we've got coverage for you next Monday night of the Premier Football Championship final, when St Michael's will be taking on the Bars, and it'll be live here at 8 o'clock on the Irish Examiner as Owen O'Leary looking for another score to tack on for himself. That's his 6th point of the game, and the margin back out to 7.
Yeah, very good score from Owen, particularly when he took on the man, took on the challenge and still knocked it over the bar off his left-hand side. Fantastic score.
Puck out down to this near side, and the Glen now really fighting in numbers. The true spirit of Glen starting to show as Owen O'Sullivan plays a long ball inside, but the Bright Rovers men, well, they thought they were going to get a hand in it for a second there. They might get a second bite of the cherry. Conor Hazelwood just left it behind them on that chance. In fact, it's Cian Walsh who just popped that ball outside. Here is Bright Rovers now trying to break away. Adam Hines hooked inside there. Owen O'Leary in the bottom of that ruck trying to get it away with it. That ball just popped out of the eye. And Rhys Dunn broke onto the breaking ball. Charlie Hurley under pressure pops the ball outside and pinned for over carrying the ball.
Bit of a tricky one there, Patrick, because I think that he certainly pirouetted and turned around and stuff like that, but you know, it's just a 50-50 decision. I think there's a couple of mentors shouting in from the crowd might have influenced them in some respects, but the game has been played in a tremendous spirit. But certainly it's obvious that the Glen have lifted the stakes physically in the first 7 minutes of the second half.
And the puck free from Ronan O'Riordan in towards the edge of the square, looking for Walsh inside there. Well, geez, I've never seen an umpire race out to the line so fast like he did, but he's waved it off 4 times to make sure the referee sees it.
Yeah, and that's you know, that was an opportunity obviously to play the ball into Adam Walsh, but of course the Glen had 2 men around him, so it's going to be very difficult to secure possession. And they're very, very intense around the middle third at the moment. The Glen, you know, even the likes there of Owen O'Sullivan there, Zach Lynch, Rhys Dunn, they're just putting serious shifts in around the middle, just putting their bodies on the line. That's all they're needed to do when you've got Lynham and O'Leary playing so well.
Loose pass from Liam Collins, but there was a block on the shot from Cian Walsh, and he's standing all over the Bright Rovers man, but doing very well there was Kieran Cotter, the break out of the fence, and you can see he's really up for this game.
Yeah, that looked great work from Kieran Cotter there. Probably should have been a free before the whistle sounded for an infringement, but he won a fantastic ball on the deck, drove out with it and earned his free.
Ronan O'Connell, long ball, looking for Adam Walsh. He's got the shot, good save from Ben Heffernan, brilliant save, and that stopped the Bright Rovers man from getting the goal. And still a chance for Bright Rovers on that far side of the field through Nicky Kelleher. It was a bit sloppy from Bright Rovers, and Glen can try and clear their lines, and they do through Fiorco O'Driscoll over towards that far side of the field. Oh, geez, that's a good burst of speed there, but here breaking onto the loose ball. Ronan O'Connell going in, long shot in towards the edge of the square, but good control. Brilliant from Owen Varian. He's been brilliant in the full back line so far. Varian still under pressure, escapes 2 tackles and pops that ball outside to John Corwin. That's a heavy enough challenge. Play continues on. Good work to get that ball away from under pressure, offloading that ball like the All Blacks. That's how good the Glen are playing so far this evening here in Páirc Uí Rinn. That's good pressure there by Adam Hines as Hines clears that ball back inside towards the 45-metre line. Touched there by Zach Lynch, and that gave Glen Rovers an opportunity to try and settle themselves. Owen O'Sullivan switched the play towards the centre forward line. Under pressure inside there, and it's Kieran Maguire. There's 2 loose Glen men gone inside. If they see the man inside, but there's enough Bright Rovers men to turn over that possession, and a chance for Liam Collins to try and clear his lines. Plays it out to Josh Ahern from his own 65-metre line over towards the corner. Well, the Bright Rovers man seemed to have been held up over that far side of the field for a stage. Adam Hayes. But good work over there once again by John Corwin. Ball just slipping around as the dew starts to fall here in Páirc Uí Rinn. That ball squirting out over towards the sideline. And we wait for the sideline official. I think it's going to be a Bright Rovers line ball on this occasion. Super stop there by Ben Heffernan.
A fantastic save, Patrick. It could be a game-winning save. The talisman from the Bright Rovers, Adam Walsh, caught a ball on the edge of the square, turned on his left, and in fairness, it was a rocket of a shot. We didn't see it here, except we just saw the ball deflecting off of the keeper's hurling. But it was a magnificent passage of play afterwards.
Great percentage play from Adam Walsh. Sees the loose man outside, but the percentages didn't add up to 100% because Conor Hazelwood sent that left and wide.
And I think the Bright Rovers free or white tally is up around 8 or 9 at the moment to the Glens too. So, whereby there's 7 points between the teams at this moment in time. Some of the scores for Bright Rovers, if they were over the bar, they'd be a lot closer.
The big news here, Mark, the juggler's been thrown here by Mark O'Connell because Killian Tobin, who picked up an injury during the week, has been thrown into the melting pot here, Eamon.
Yeah, that's a huge boost for Bright Rovers. Look, even if he's not remotely close to being at full tilt, I mean, if he's in around the middle third, if he can get any bit of possession and take his man on, I think he's wearing number 9, but he's come in for number 10, Nicky Kelleher, and I presume he's going to go in close to the edge of the square. Yeah, he's actually switching into full forward there now as we speak.
He seems to be walking free enough as the Glen have won a free just inside the 65-metre line, and a chance here for Glen Rovers.
Yeah, so Killian Tobin right now is standing in on the edge of the square, and Adam Walsh has gone out to centre forward. Yeah, and there's a sweeper there, obviously standing in front of Killian Tobin, and I suppose probably be looking to pick up any pieces that come in over the top from Adam Walsh as well.
But I think, to be fair, I think Bright Rovers affected the sweeper first.
Yes,
because they were under pressure.
Would you be kind of half wondering, Patrick, would Bright Rovers be better off now to go with the twin towers inside of Adam Welch and Killian Tobin and maybe bring everybody out the field and launch it in as high as possible?
Well, talking about twin towers, this is going towards the edge of the square. It's caught the edge of the square. Chance for the Glen. There's that free going in from Owen O'Leary. And it looked like Cian Walsh was who caught the ball, but a chance of Bright Rovers to try and clear their lines. They've done that. But all the way out towards the Glen Rovers free man, Zach Lynch. And Lynch going to try and punish this one, but fails to do so, going right and wide.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, Cian Walsh, he's actually only an under 15, but he'd been playing out around the half-hour line, and he had been struggling to get in the game, really, because the ball wasn't coming his way, but he generally plays full forward for the Glen under 15s. They lost the county final this year to SARS. A fierce handful, and he's back in there now, and he showed how dangerous he was there. A great catch and a good block.
And he wins a free as well. Super win there as well after being held by 2 Bright Rovers men.
Yeah, there's a Glen Rovers, the half-back for the Glen, Donica Wall, is after losing the face guard and the hurley, so I don't think the game will be allowed to restart until that that helmet is fixed.
So, just going to be a straight replacement of helmet there, and a chance now for a Glen Rovers man as Owen O'Leary to take this free.
It's not the easiest free, but I suppose, given the conditions tonight, it's pointable for and his quality, and it'd be a huge score if they did get it.
So Owen O'Leary now looking for his 7th point of the game. He's third from place ball, this time from his own 65-metre line. There's no doubt he's got the distance. Or has he? Maybe he's going to land short inside the edge of the square. Oh, Jeannie Deere, the Bright Rovers keeper, just tapped it outside and pounced on by Lynham, who's already got 2 goals in this game, looking to try and make that angle a bit better, but that's a poor shot from Stephen Lynham and trickles out over the line for Glen Rovers' 4th wide of this game.
Yeah, like Patrick, the game is still in the melting pot. If Bright Rovers can get a goal, they'll get themselves back into this game. And as Owen has mentioned earlier on, there's been plenty of games where there was 10 points in the previous minor match beforehand. So this game isn't gone by any stretch of the imagination.
Free puck out, one inside there by Louis Roach. Ball walked inside by Young Hazelwood, but straight down top of the sweeper. And I think the two lads here beside me are concurring that Cillian Tobin isn't going to be running too far if it's not going to be landing towards the edge of the square, as Owen O'Leary has turned on his sixpence. He's gone up the left-hand flank over towards that far side. O'Leary off the left-hand side, going all the way in, but it's going across the face of goal. It's going to trickle out. The referee, well, ball hasn't gone out, and he looked to be taking his time, Ronan O'Riordan, to try and play that ball. There's a bit of a hand in the back, but play continues on as Adam Walsh has won that now. Walsh turns back on the left-hand side, going for a raking shot. Cillian Tobin, the edge of the square, is going to pull it first time, but he's inside of the square. And quite clearly, he just ran across the square, never got out of it. And a square ball has been called.
Yeah, it's just the first ball that came in there. It didn't really matter because the sweeper collected it anyway. But, you know, Cillian certainly wasn't moving freely at all. We can see why he didn't start. But I suppose, look, it's a county final, you know, for these Bright Rovers lads. You know, they lost the Féile final under 14. They lost last year's 16 final to Middleton. So I suppose this is their shot together to win a P1 title. And it's worth a gamble from the management's point of view.
Adam Hines under pressure there, knocked out over the line by Charlie Hurley, sideline ball.
Yeah, but it's hard enough, I suppose, to play when you're fully fit. Like, but when you have a half an ankle and you have two fellas marking you, it's going to be extremely difficult. And he's in there on his own.
And he's in there on his own, but the sweeper a long way in front of him, Mark. So it's going to be a long time before he'll get the ball inside. There's Glen Rovers looking to try and get on the break. Here is Adam Walsh picking up that dirty ball from the 65-metre line, going all the way in, but left and wide. And you just see inside, Mark, like, Cillian is just barely able to limp along, and the sweeper just cleanly out in front of him.
I would love to see Adam Welch inside, to be honest about it, because you know, at this moment, 7 points down. I think unless Bright Rovers get a couple of goals, I don't see them winning this game. I think the biggest threat that they have is both Welch and Tobin on the edge of the square.
Scooped out there by Liam Collins, the Bright Rovers full-back. Long ball being walked inside to David Barry, looking for Cillian Tobin, but the Bright Rovers sweeper was clean out to it. Didn't get the breaking ball away clean enough. Ball's dummied out there by Ronan O'Connell. Turns back in the left, finds David Barry, the captain, down the line. That's a high tackle. Play continues on though, because Barry was under pressure. And that's a sublime score from David Barry.
Yeah,
under all sorts of pressure inside there.
Yeah,
that is a blinding score.
And we've said it from in the first half. He has really been excellent for Bright Rovers this evening. He's been brilliant. He's really playing a captain's role. He's got down injured now with I'd say a cramp, I'd say is probably what he's suffering from, but he has been outstanding for his team tonight.
I made that the first score in 10 minutes of this game.
Yeah, and I suppose the Glen have been, you know, pretty clinical up to now. They only have 4 wides, but they've 2 of them in the last few minutes and a couple of balls that kind of dropped in around the edge of the square. But I suppose it's a reflection of the work rate from both teams. It's a good, intense match. It's a very good game, I think.
I think it's 3 points to 2 Patrick to the Glen in the third quarter. It's extremely physical, and we've mentioned that already. There's no quarter being asked and given. I think both sets of teams really know what's on the line. A lot of feeling out in the first half, where the Glen probably just had the matter. They had the first quarter themselves. Bright Rovers had the second quarter, but there was a goal thrown in there by the Glen, which actually probably helped them in some degree. But the third quarter has been a real dogged battle, and great from both teams.
Play resumes, the puck out from Ben Heffernan to that far side of the field. Great touch and pick up there, but cutely picked out by David Barry. Under pressure, and the Glen are throwing them bodies on the line once again. Walked over there, and great pass inside by Zach Lynch into his midfield partner Rhys Dunn, who's showing a clean pair of heels. Luke's man over towards that far side of the field. Over there, Kieran Maguire. Maguire with the shot, Maguire with the score. Margin back out to 7 points.
Yeah, and
once again.
That's a very big score in the context of the game. There's 4 points to 2 now in the third quarter, and it's obviously stretched out the lead to 8 points before the water break.
Possible one more phase of play as Adam Walsh climbs highest for this. Left it fall to the floor. Both teams fighting very hard inside there. No chop, says referee Marr. Play continues on. Turned around in a sixpence. Did Louis Roach. Long ball in. Looking for Cillian Tobin. But it's broken outside now to the loose man outside here. That looks like Eldon O'Connor. Pops the ball outside. Cillian Roach now has a chance to try and... Or Cillian Tobin, I should say, had a chance, but got left and beaten to it by Owen Varian. And Varian was pulled and fouled. And that's a free on the 21-metre line for the Glen.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with Mark. You know, look, Adam Walsh won a puck out there a few minutes ago and had a shot that just drifted wide, but like his absence is notable there now, and big time, because they've moved the cornerback Ryan Maroney up. He's a small, light player, and they've Killian Tobin, who's obviously struggling with that ankle, so they just don't have any pop inside there. No, I don't think that's the right move. I'd absolutely go what Mark said, which is just put Killian feeding off Adam Walsh and see what happens. They're doing well out the middle third in general anyway. They're battling very, very hard. They're breaking even 50-50. That's all they can do.
Charlie Hurley popping that ball outside to Zach Lynch. Long ball inside, but one inside there by the fullback, Liam Collins. Under pressure is David Barry. 7 points the difference. 12 minutes left in the clock with the second half water break yet to come. Here's the full forward, Louis Roach, looking for his second point of the game, but that's trailing to the right hand side and wide.
Yeah, I'd be disappointed with that now, just as we're going to the water break now.
So that is the water break. 7 points in it. 11 minutes of normal time remaining, and we have some injury time to add on as well. Is it time now, Mark, really to throw the juggler and not just the Twin Towers, but I suppose the Leaning Tower of Pisa with the small little Coliseum?
Yeah, well, they've 10 by Rovers have 10 points scored after the three-quarter stage. They find themselves down by 9 points, Patrick. So there's no way they're going to reel him in. They're 7 points down. There's no way they're going to reel him in with points, Patrick, I think, at this stage. So barring they get a couple of goals, that's their best opportunity of winning this. I think also that the best opportunity is to put in Adam Walsh and Killian Tobin into the edge of the square and have that small flyer that's playing. And again, he's extremely quick. The corner forward has gone in there at the moment, so maybe have him outside, maybe and creating a triangle formation. The two big lads at the edge of the square, and you really have to get the ball in. But by Rovers have hit 11 wides. I know the Glen had 3 or 4 wides there in succession and stuff like that, but it's double scores on the wides. But I think you'd have to say that just marginally, the Glen probably have a better balanced team all over the field.
Yeah, and I suppose we're left just to think of how the game would have panned out if Killian Tobin had been fully fit, because he was, without a doubt their best player all the way through the championship. That's the way it goes. He hasn't been available, but we've had some great battles around the middle third. To be fair to Rhys Dunn and Zach Lynch for the Glen, I think they've processed a lot of ball lately. Fiacre Driscoll has been nice and tidy too from, it's been fantastic. If Killian Tobin was thundering up and down from kind of 20 metre to 20 metre, which is how he plays, he's all action. We saw that with Cork this year. It would have been fantastic to see the impact that would have had in the game. But definitely Brighton need a goal. Other than that, all the Glen needs to do is pop off a few scores. Maguire picked off a nice one there. I've no doubt Cian Walsh is capable of just picking off a score from there. And obviously, if Lynham or O'Leary get the ball, they'll probably be clinical. Bang, bang, bang. 3-4 points will win the game comfortably for the Glen, I think.
2 substitutions coming here. And Ronan and Killian Tobin is gone already. There's a big call. Ben Knox comes in for Killian Tobin. There's a couple of more substitutions to come by the looks of it. We're just over on that far side. Colin Vaughan making those substitutions. The second one to come as well.
I think Adam Walsh, Patrick has also gone back into the full forward line now.
So maybe it's just the one substitution. So Killian Tobin didn't last too long in that second half. Gone already. Ben Knox is in from a Bright Rovers point of view as Ronan O'Connell plays that short down the line, and Bright Rovers need a score. Have they got one through Josh Ahern? They have. That's a great score from Josh Ahern.
Yeah, very good score, and just exactly what Bright Rovers need going into the fourth quarter. There's 6 points in it, but it's only a 2-score game. Anything can happen in a hurling match, and if Bright Rovers get a goal here, more than likely through the likes of Adam Walsh, anything can happen coming down the stretch.
O'Leary climbed highest, but it was a small man underneath, Charlie Hurley, who picked it up. Dummy the shot, still going, short in the grip. Stopped and just tipped over the bar. Unlucky there from Ronan O'Riordan, but all the same, a classy score from Charlie Hurley.
A nice burst of pace, and Charlie Hurley got, I think, the Glen's first point way back at the start of the game, and he's been just very lively again. Look, it's under 17 now rather than under 18, so he's not the biggest young fella, but his work rate and his touch, his movement is excellent.
Oh, dainty flick away there by Owen O'Sullivan. Pops the ball short inside for young Lynham. Stephen Lynham shortens the grip of Hurley. Plays it in towards the full forward line to Owen O'Leary. Goes for a shot. Oh, blinding save from Ronan O'Riordan. 2 fantastic saves, one at either end from both keepers, as Conor Hazelwood is back there defensively, helping out with his defence. There's a 50-50 ball broken out. Owen O'Sullivan comes away with it and stitches it over the bar. But 2 highlights this evening. Ben Heffernan 10 minutes ago with a super save, and now the turn of Ronan O'Riordan.
Yeah, Ronan O'Riordan that was a fantastic save, and the lead up to the play was brilliant as well, because young Lynham played a short ball to Owen O'Leary, and he went for the juggler, Patrick, but the Rovers keeper Ronan O'Riordan was up for a challenge.
Ball going towards the inside the 45-metre line, going inside it towards Cian Walsh. Walsh just fouled inside there, and it's gone for a free inside just outside the 20-metre line. In fact, 2-13 to 11 points.
Yeah, and that just shows what Cian Walsh is capable of. He's a very, very strong, powerful teenager there. He won that ball well. So, look, I suppose they'll pop this over now, more than likely, given O'Leary hasn't missed too many of them, and then the gap is considerable. It's very, very hard to see a way back for Glen Rovers now, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of high balls sent in the edge of the square for the last 10 minutes.
The ball's gone all the way in and over the bar, so that's a good score once again from a Glen Rovers point of view through Owen O'Leary. So 9 points, big hill to climb here now for Glen Rovers in the 52nd minute of this game. As that ball's walking down through the lines, looking for David Barry. Goals is the order of the menu now. That's not what they need. Whatever about goals, getting a point is crucial. Not having a wide ball.
And up to this point that he has been outstanding for Glen Rovers. He probably should have popped it into the corner forward who would actually peel away. But I suppose when you're trying to do the best for your team, your captain, he's looking to try and get the score on the board and tighten up this to the game.
Puck out over towards that far side of the field. Broken down by a Glen Rovers man. Rhys Dunn is over there from a Glen point of view. Ball got out over a sideline for a Glen Rovers line ball mark, and they need really to throw on the juggler.
Yeah, and Patrick, look, I suppose there's about just over 10 minutes left in the game at the moment, and the Glen have had the better exchanges in the fourth quarter here. They're making the best of their way home, and Glen Rovers will need to get a goal, and they need to get a quick Patrick for this this championship is slipping away for them.
So another sideline ball over on that far side of the field, and a chance now for Adam Hayes for a line ball. Under pressure, and the Glen Rovers man trying to clear the lines there. Looked like Fiarco Driscoll over on that far side of the field. Here is Owen O'Leary trying to turn him in a sixpence. Cian Cotter had met him very well. Still got the shot away, O'Leary. Ball broken down. Nearly got left behind him by the Glen Rovers defender, but he dealt with it very, very well. Breaking out of the fence, trying to break through 2-3 tackles. Dennis Cashman fouled on his own 65-metre line. And it's going to be a free for Glen Rovers, as I think now Cathal Tracy's just going to tell Mark Maher something happened off the ball here, but I'd say they're actually looking at the clock now, because here, I know at home you've got the graphic at home which is working, but here in the stadium clock it's actually running about 2:40 behind. So I think,
and good work by the officials there, but because I think the linesman here was looking at his watch and maybe he was telling Mark Maher, are you on the same time as me? So look, if this game happens to tighten up near the end of the game, the last thing you want is controversy over timekeeping.
Well, of course, the most important clock is always with the officials. As referee leaves Adam Hayes play this one towards the edge of the square. That's blocked down inside the 6-yard box there by Ben Heffernan. But he's going to try and clear his lines, and he does so. Looking for Sean Cronin in a wing-back position over on that far side of the field. Cronin under pressure, and that ball out for the sideline for Glen Rovers. It looks like, well, he's not making it clear, that sideline official, I'm afraid, over on that far side. But now I think their message is going across about the time to make sure the clock, to tell him about the time. So the sideline is going to take place. Ball worked in over towards the centre of the park as Glen Rovers looking to try and pounce on it, but they haven't done so. And here's Charlie Hurley from a deep position inside his own 45-metre line. A 40-yard run to the centre of the field, turned back into the tackle. Has a second bite of the cherry, but it's broken out, and Glen Rovers have one possession inside there. Through Josh Ahern, pops out to Hazelwood. And Hazelwood's been pinned for over-carrying the ball.
Bit unlucky in that situation, Patrick. But again, I suppose the game is starting to come under pressure, I suppose, in terms of scores and stuff like that. Both teams now at this moment, right, Rovers definitely need to get a goal to get back in this game. And the Glen will be just saying, don't concede frees, don't concede a penalty, keep the scoreboard ticking over, and they'll have another Premier 1 title to their name.
So chance now for Owen O'Leary from his own 65-metre line. Going a long way in, just trailing left though. Just the first error from Owen O'Leary from frees tonight, but he's really been unerring this evening, Eamon.
Yeah, and look, at this stage now he's right out around the middle third, and you know, every minute that eats off that clock suits the Glen down to the ground. You know, I mean, the more ball played in the middle third, and there will be space open up the other end for them.
Ball being worked inside here by Ronan O'Connell as a score for Bright Rovers as we're inside the final 4 minutes.
Yeah, that was a super point there. And I mean, that's one of the things when you're chasing a lead in hurling. Sometimes teams get so fixated on the goals, they just pike every ball in around, you know, the D or into the edge of the square, and like balls get broken down. If you're free in the 65, you can pop it over. A couple of quick points and you're right back in the game.
Puck out down towards his near sideline. Owen O'Leary climbed highest. A wild hurley swing there by Cian Walsh. And really, there hasn't been a dirty stroke in this game. I think Cian Walsh will be picking up a yellow card here for that wild swing across Liam Collins.
And again, you know, it'll slow the game down a little bit. That's the only one advantage, you know, from the Glen point of view. This might eat another 40 seconds off the time that's left for them, you know.
So Mark Maher is just giving Cian Walsh the rule of law as people now starting to Trojan away. Of course, we have a Premier 2 final which will be going to a replay. Shandrum versus Kilteogue. Have to be announced by the Kishta board next week. The yellow card brandished to Cian Walsh there from the Glen. As the free now going to be taken here by Ronan O'Connell, sent down the centre of the park. And it's Glen Rovers again who have won the breaking ball. Man juggle up inside there. Bright Rovers trying to build in through Louis Roach. David Barry is inside there, kicking it away. Sean Cronin. Look who deep inside there, the 2-goal maestro, Stephen Lynham. Walk through the lines, short to Faircrow Driscoll, who plays it to the corners. Now, Bright Rovers have an extra man, but the Glen Rovers man was first to it. Daintily flicked up inside, Cian Walsh. Good composure after picking up the yellow card. That is a tasty score from the full forward.
And it was a fantastic move all the way through. You know, great aggression and battling by the Glen to win the ball. Lovely pick up by Lynham. Fabulous ball into the corner by the centre-back Faircrow Driscoll, and what a touch and finish by Cian Walsh.
Bright Rovers looking for a goal, looking for Adam Walsh inside the 20-metre line. He's throwing his body around. His body weight is heavy and hearty inside there in the 20-metre line. There's men ending up on the floor, and Bright Rovers are, no, it's not. It's the Glen who have come away with it through Rhys Dunn, sending it over towards that far side of the field. Under pressure over on that far side of the field. Well, Kieran Maguire is applying it from a Glen point of view. Bright Rovers trying to get the numbers away, but really it's the clock up against Bright Rovers here at this stage. It looks like the Glen are having their second hand on the Premier 1 trophy, unless Bright Rovers have a couple of late tails to tail, having this fairy tale to come. Ball walked across the exclusion zones, walking across the way inside. Is it walking inside for a goal for a shot? Oh, chance for Louis Roach going over Ben Heffernan's crossbar. Roach with the shot, and it's Roach with the score.
And that needed to be a goal, unfortunately. And I think his body language told the story there. He knew it himself, but you know, lovely little flick in, and he picked it up nicely, went for it. But really, I mean, we're heading out to injury time, so the gap is still that 8-point gap, and Bright haven't been able to chip at it in the last 10 minutes.
Glen Rovers substitution, Conor McCarthy in for Zach Lynch over on that far side of the field as there's a cramping on down below, and 2 minutes of additional time has been awarded, Mark. So
yeah, and just
we're into the final minute of that regulation.
And Patrick, we'd mentioned earlier on in the programme that Owen O'Leary and Stephen Lynham had done a lot of the scoring individually, but when Cian Walsh put that point over the bar, every one of the Glen forwards have scored this evening.
Puck out to that far side. Play has scored for the Glen. Cian Walsh just didn't get the graceful touch that he had moments ago. He's still fighting for the ball, but now he's just picked it up off the ground. And it's going to be brought forward, and a chance as we enter injury time. And I'll be asking my two gents beside me for a Rebel Oak man of the match shortly as we start those 2 minutes of injury time. And well, it's too little too late, because the Glen have this one very much in the bag at this late stage. This free going to be played inside the 20-metre line, pulled on there. Here's Adam Walsh looking to try and pick up a shot. That's a heavy shot by Walsh, looking for a shot going in. Shot and good. Ben Heffernan saw that late. That's a decent save. And Ronan O'Connell was with the shot. And the keeper, Ben Heffernan, he's after having quite a decent evening here from a Glen Rovers point of view. We're 30 seconds in. And I'll give my guests another 30 seconds. We'll get this phase of play done with. before I get that man of the match off him. David Barry with a low shot going. Adam Walsh is in there at the end. And you can see the Glen Rovers men, they know they're celebrating. Gents, I turn to you for the Rebel Oak Premier 1 hurling final man of the match.
Yeah, Patrick, we both agreed when we both picked the same man at the same time, but honourable mention to Owen Varian and Owen O'Leary, who were outstanding. But for us, the 2 goals that were scored by Stephen Lynham in the first half are the 2 critical scores that are between the 2 teams. So for us, the Premier 1 Hurling County Championship final man of the match is Stephen Lynham.
Stephen Lynham with the 2 goals in the first half. 2-3 to his credit this evening. Is the Rebel Oak Irish Examiner Premier 1 Minor Hurling Championship final man of the match, as the time is ticking down and the Glen Rovers supporters are starting to celebrate here. And plenty of esteemed guests here in the crowd this evening. Well, it's been a great game of hurling. Pity about Cillian Tobin not taking full involvement of the final. But on the night, Glen Rovers have been much the better side and full deserving of their victory this evening.
And you can't argue with their form over the championship either, you know, in that, like, they've won all 5 of their matches, they've played all the top teams in the competition, you know, they beat the Bears, you know, they beat Ballincollig in the last group game to get themselves a home semi-final. They comprehensively beat Middleton, who were last year's 16 champions, and now they're beating Bright Rovers, who were last year's runners-up. So it really is a fantastic county for them to win, and you have to marvel at the Glen all the time, because the Glen don't have the numbers they had once upon a time. There's not huge playing numbers there, but they get every drop out of every player, and everyone on the field has left it out there tonight for them.
One last phase of play to play out by referee Josh Ahern as he sends it over towards that far side of the field. It's been cleared out by the Glen, out by Donegal Wall. It's a scrap for possession over on that far side of the field. The Glen are getting a second bite of the cherry. Now they clear their lines out towards Charlie Hurley. Hurley is on the floor. He just missed possession of that ball, so that ball's with Adam Hines now. Scoops the ball over the top, plays inside to Louis Roach, looking for a consolation score, but I think that's been the story of Bright Rovers' night. They now have 14 wides now, that is, as referee Mark Maher is looking for the sliotar, and that is the full-time whistle in the Rebel Oak Central Premier 1 Hurling Championship final. Deserving winners on the night on a scoreline of 2-15 to Bright Rovers 13 points.
Yeah, magnificent victory for Glen Rovers. You know, when you're looking through the 4 quarters here this evening, Patrick, it was really won in the first quarter where they got a goal and 6 points to 2 points. The second quarter was 1-1 to 6 points, nothing in it. Third quarter was 4 points to 2 to the Glen, and in the last quarter was 4 points to 3 to Glen Rovers. So, you know, for 3 quarters of the game, the last 3 quarters, there was nothing between the 2 teams. But I think the early showing by Glen Rovers when they led 1-6 to 2 points in the first quarter was probably where the foundation of the victory was laid. Obviously, as we mentioned, Cillian Tobin was a huge loss. Bright Rovers were gallant all through the game. They never gave up. Their heads never dropped. And in fairness to the selectors, they moved around players into different positions to try and get their team into the game and trying to get the best out of their players. So they can be very proud of their showing this evening. Obviously, the loss of one of their key men was a downer for them. But getting to the final is also fantastic. And I always remember that these lads are 17 years of age. They're being developed for the adult team up the line. And they'll be really, really happy, I think, to have got to the county final this evening. But just disappointed not to get over the line and get the silverware.
And Owen, I suppose, from a Glen Rovers point of view, this is just another one to the academy to add on, and they'll have more players to add on to their intermediate team and senior team in years to come.
Absolutely, but look, I mean, I think it's their 3rd final appearance in the last 5 years. It's their, you know, 2nd time winning it. Obviously, the grade has dropped from 18 to 17. They've won it again, and it is a key factor with the Glen. You do see the Glen as a traditional powerhouse, which they are of hurling. But they don't have 30 players at every age anymore. Those days are long gone on the north side. You know, the playing population is much smaller, but they maximise everything, and that's what I admire about the Glen. They come out, they hurl hard. If you've ever seen the Glen, and I know Mark will be the same, it could be a match down in Kill on a Saturday afternoon, the Glen will have more supporters there than your home team will. You know, we played them in a 15C3 game a few weeks ago, and they had more supporters than we did, which was amazing out in Ballincollig. So they absolutely love their hurling, and it's reflected on the field. Absolutely.
No, it was a great victory this evening, and I suppose it was, you know, we mentioned about the likes of Owen O'Leary and Stephen Lynham, who's fantastic. Keane Welch, for me, I thought was excellent all through. He brought a physical presence. He's a very young man, but I thought Owen Varian at full back was outstanding all through, and Behind him, I think Ben Heffernan made one of the saves of the season from Adam Welch as well. So I suppose all things to consider, I think Glen were just slightly the better balanced team, and they brought a physical edge to the second half of the game, which I think the Bright Rovers couldn't deal with, even though there wasn't a whole pile of scores between the two teams. But Glen Rovers never allowed Bright Rovers to get back into the game, and the fact that they couldn't concede any goal, a lot of teams need a goal to push on and get that bit of an injection into their team. Glen backs never allowed that to happen. And again, I mentioned Owen Varian Hart at full back was outstanding, but the Glen got their tactics right as well. They played a sweeper in front of Adam Welch. When Killian Tobin also came on, they played a sweeper in front of him. I suppose Bright Rovers will be slightly disappointed maybe that some of the supply of ball that went in probably should have been of a higher nature to get over the sweeper. But in county finals, we're all looking for the perfect performance. The important thing is that the lads got to this final. They'll get huge experience out of this game tonight. They will be really disappointed. But look, that's the way county finals go. It's Glen Rovers night tonight, but I've no doubt the Bright Rovers will be back.
No, undoubtedly, indeed, as we look out and see the Glen Rovers men making their way over. And one of the gallant men performances this evening is Owen Varian, who is making his way over. And the Glen Rovers supporters in front of us cheering their team after a super performance this evening. And
they had no passengers at Glen all night, really. I think Mark hit the nail on the head there. Even in their half-back line, were being spectacular. Sean Cronin and Fiacre O'Driscoll, Donegal Wall was probably the most prominent. They were just all rock solid. We did say Dave Barry was the standout midfielder, but Rhys Dunn, Zach Lynch picked up plenty of loose ball, kept it going to the forwards, and that key stat, which is all 6 of the Glen forwards scored from play. Bright couldn't match that at all. In fact, they got 5 points in play from Louis Roach and Adam Walsh together, whereas outside of Owen Leary and Steve Lynham, the Glen still got that. So, that was a big factor in the game. And I do think they were the better team that won. But Bright will get an awful lot out of this team for their senior setup. That they as Mark said, the P2 team did the same 4 years ago, and it'll be the case here as well.
Let's take in the presentation from Rebel O Kishta chairman, Michael O'Mahony.
I especially want to thank the senior board for hearing available to us for these matches. We play these games in our stadium pitches, and the pitch is very heavily used at the moment. There's so many games on, but the senior board that the pitch is available to us tonight. Most of all, I want to thank the Blue Scouts, Glen Rovers and Bright for turning up such fantastic teams. A great side, huge work on both clubs. Bright Rovers, congratulations on a fantastic season. How you get to a county final? You've done very well. You should be very proud of your performances during the season. The Glen Rovers, congratulations on winning the Premier 1. Hurling Championship 2021. Fantastic performance, great team, in the great traditions of your fantastic club. And I would like to call on Old Varian to collect the McGrath Trophy. This is named in honour of the great Glen Rovers man. So I'm not going out to accept the trophy on behalf of Glen Rovers for Donald.
Well, I think you can see from that scene there won't be too much of a speech given there as Owen Varian and his teammates celebrate after a hard-working year, Mark. And I suppose this is one of the most exceptional years. I know last year was COVID and nobody could be here, only 200 people, 100 people, whatever the match was on.
Yeah,
but this year, because the first 5 months of the year was all locked down, you're dealing with Zoom meetings and team meetings and all that. This is probably the chalk and cheese and the reward for all this.
And it's fantastic to see a crowd out in the field here this evening, and it's also fantastic to see a very, very good crowd here from the Glen here. They're over here on the right-hand side of the stadium. There's a massive crowd of parents, grandparents here. It's a very proud occasion for grandparents as well, seeing their grandchildren growing up and putting a hurling in the ball in the hand from a very, very young age, and then, everybody growing up when they're very, very young winning a Premier Minor is a critical grade to win.
Let's take in Captain Owen Varian's words after winning the Premier 1 Hurling Championship for minor grade.
Thanks to Glen Rovers for such an amazing match. It's been an incredible journey to get here, and loads of hard work we've got the training for the minor team. I want to firstly thank the coaches, Tony Small, PD, Mikey Burns, and Mark for just for the determination and confidence that they put in those 20 years. It was because the public restrictions, they gave us a program and it was top players. It was to put in our as sharp as ever, and we looked there and we were like a team with the county. To thank our coaches before, Dennis Lynch, John Cronin and John O'Leary, and they're made as well. And thank all the boys for all the determination they put into the club. And we've been standing trophy with the team.
The spirit of Glen coming out in full flourish here tonight, lads. 2-15 to 13-point win over Glen Rovers, and they celebrate in style. Of course, our Premier 2 final has to be replayed after an extraordinary result earlier this evening, as Shandrum came from 10 points down to draw with Kilworth 5-11 for Shamrock. Kiltogue won at 23. Final word, gents. Entertaining final all the same. Pity about killing Tobin, I suppose. Just knocked the colour off it, but you can't take it away from the Glen performance, which have been top class this evening.
Yeah, and I still thought it was a very good final. Like, if the Bride were a little bit more clinical, I think was the final tally, about 13-14 wides to 5 or 6. Made a huge difference in the game. I still thought it was a good final. Great physicality, especially considering it's a year younger than it was. Personally, I would have left the grade at 18, but I think I'm in the majority around the county. Most of us would have done that. But it was a very good championship overall. I was at a lot of the matches, a lot of the round robin games. Very entertaining, great effort. I do think one of the big benefits we're seeing at the moment is the refs letting the games flow. There's plenty of intensity. Yes, there were frees tonight. There was only one yellow card given out, and that was late on, and that was even in a high stakes game. So credit to Mark Maher there, he did a fantastic job. And I think most of the refs in the county are trying to do that now at the moment. They're trying to let things be more physical and intense, and for young fellas that's the way hurling should be played. And in terms of those chosen few who will go on to play minor and 21, they're getting steeled for that experience then.
Yep. Yeah, it was a very, very enjoyable game. We've actually been lucky enough to witness two fantastic games this evening. I suppose the plaudits will go to Glen Rovers this evening, Patrick. 2-15 is a very, very good score, and I think they probably got most of that from play. I've Owen O'Leary down for 3 points from frees, which ends up at about 2-12 from play. That's a very, very good score. You know, I think the whole team for Glen could be really, really proud of their performance tonight. And the captain, Owen Varian, was outstanding at full-back at all through. And Owen O'Leary obviously was very, very good at centre-forward. And Stephen Lynham probably got the goals that actually killed it. I won't say killed the game, but it gave the Glen that cushion and gave that gap between both teams. But honourable mention, I think, for David Barry, particularly for Bride Rovers. I thought he was outstanding all through. And I think, Rovers will be disappointed. They're over in the corner tonight. They're huddled up. They know they're going to be back. They know they're missing a couple of players tonight. They're not done with it at all. And I've mentioned earlier on about the development of players. The most important thing for both the Glen and Bride Rovers this evening is that they're able to bring through these young players now into their senior setup. That's the most important thing. They're going to be leaving the minor grade, or I suppose the juvenile grade behind them now. They're going into the adult grade. And this is great to come in off the back of a Premier 1 final. Whether you win or lose it, it's a fantastic experience. And I think hats off to both teams for the performance they put up tonight.
Just find the aim, and you've watched plenty of juvenile age grades. Give us a couple of names to take away for the notebooks tonight to take home, and we'll watch out for in the future.
Well, I suppose, look, for next year in terms of Cork minors, anyway, straight away, Stephen Lynham has lived up to the billing we said beforehand that he was in pole position to be featuring for that team next year, probably under the new manager, Paddy Murray, who's expected to take over the job and was here watching the game tonight. He was down to our left watching it. I think Owen O'Leary obviously is a banker to be straight involved with the Glen senior setup. But look, Glen are playing Premier Senior Hurling too, so it will take a few years. patience will be needed, whether that's for Owen Very and Donegal Wall, any of these lads. Cian Walsh is only under 15, because, you know, the Glen are playing at the very top tier. We've even seen with Luke Horgan, who was, you know, part of a star-studded Glen underage team that won 14 and 15 counties, didn't win the minor, but they were very, very good. And, you know, he's not an automatic starter in the Glen senior team, so I suppose that's where the Glen are at. And Bride will be the same. You can't be expecting Killian Tobin and Adam Walsh to be winning games on their own for you next year. They'll come through. David Barry has shown that he's got plenty of potential. Dennis Cashman did better when he moved back into the full back line. Ronan O'Connell was on an awful lot of ball. Very, very tidy as well. Excellent in the first 15 minutes as a sweeper. So you'll be sure that there will be players come through, but that's where your second team comes into, whether that's the junior team with Bride, and I suppose the Glen have the advantage that they have a team in intermediate. So it's a brilliant breeding ground for those players to ease their way through, because again, it is only under 17, not under 18. So they're that little bit younger than they were before.
Okay, look, my thanks to Eamon and to Mark for joining us this evening. Thanks to Johnny on camera upstairs, and of course to Raf and Kieran and the lads back at base as well. It's the Glen who will take the plaudits for this Premier 1 hurling final. They've had an 8-point victory over Bride Rovers, 215 to 13 points. Do join us next Monday night. We've got the Premier 1 football final in situ between St Finbarr's and St Michael's, a local city derby here next Monday night at 8 o'clock. And of course, next Sunday, we've that second section of Super Sunday. At this time, we go to the football action when we've got Nemo and Douglas with a 2 o'clock throw-in. It's a 1:30 start live here on the Irish Examiner, and we'll be bringing you around the grounds all afternoon, bring you the thrills and spills, the entertainment and the fallers in the Bon Secours Premier Senior Football Championship. But tonight is the Glens night. They take home the Premier Cup for 2021. Good night and God bless from all of us in Park Urin.